Welcome to the CEO Bros Podcast, After Hours, with Brian Baldoff, co-founded, grew, and sold VHT Studios. Brad Baldoff, CEO and co-founder of By Your Side Autism Therapy Services. Matt Croak, the consummate entertainer, jack of all trades, and serves as our host.
Oh yeah, I know it's a little Metallica.
To the Sandman. I know it's Metallica, so I don't want people to think I'm confused. Let's one more time about the AC/DC show. You think it was the last time you saw them? You're gonna see them?
It was an emotional experience. Grew up, took the drums, learned how to play the drums, listening to AC/DC, a little Highway to Hell, and seeing AC/DC at Soldier. Seeing AC/DC in Soldier Field, it gave me like goosebumps because I was like, this could be it. This could be the last time. And I think Brian was mentioning that everybody was saying that after the show, like this could be it. I took the drums up when I was 12 years old. I'm 36 now, 37. It's 20 something years.
Yeah. And their energy was just off the charts. That's what I heard.
Brian Johnson, lead singer, 77 years old, had a cold, just stormed up and down the stage, vocals just barreling out. Angus is in his mid 70s. I don't know how the guy does it. Brian with little Hell's Bells. We're off the Back in Black album, 1980.
All right, so we have AC
Side 2. Side 2, song 1. Yes. Very good.
So AC/DC is playing us in. Welcome to CEO Bros After Hours. This is part 2 of the podcast where we're actually talking about the business.
The Evolution.
Podcast The Evolution, where we're talking about the business of the podcast. And as Brian reminded me before the episode, hey, you know how a good teaser works? You start with the teaser that you ended with. So let's do that. When we ended the last episode, part 1, if you haven't seen it.
Put this away unless you want musical accompaniment the whole show.
We'll have to grab it out later.
All right.
You had 4 tips on how we're grabbing.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't say tips. It was 4 things that we felt we had to do to drive viewership and subscribers to the channel based on everything we've been researching, reviewing, reading, studying, talking to people. And we talked about 2 of them.
So just give us the 2 quickly and then jump into the third one that was the tease.
Yeah, so it's one when you start your podcast, self-promote it. So obviously tell your friends, tell your family, tell your friends' friends of friends, and hopefully those that
get
are
liquor
interested.
Glasses with the name of the show.
Yeah, those that are interested will... Sorry. those that want to listen and find the content interesting will listen. Then we talked, secondly, about we started to dabble a little bit on doing some ad spending in Google.
Testing.
Experimenting. Brian's doing most of that. And
what works, what doesn't.
As I mentioned, I was a little unsettled because we had no idea. I had no idea how much he was going to spend.
Yeah.
I said, just Brian, do what you think we need to do. And Brian goes, I'm going to start dabbling with this. And turned out it was very little to get some good punch of viewers and subscribers. And that's really what we're trying to do, is just create awareness around the channel.
Yeah, you want to, I think you talked to us about this originally, Matt. You kind of, things build over, and it takes time, but you just keep building, getting more subscribers who tell more subscribers, or, testing different ways of doing it. But there's no secret formula to overnight success. Although we get a lot of emails and ads that say there are. A lot of people have the key to success. Just pay me $10,000.
Yeah, that's their key to success.
Yeah. So there's 2 more things now we're starting now, just because we talked about we're in incubator stage. So for us, it's trialing things. It's, as Brian mentioned last episode, it's like we're still working on our product. We're still developing our product. So some of the things we're doing now are that we are now starting, as people probably saw over our last episode or 2, we've now started to interview guests. We're bringing on either subject matter experts or people that have a unique perspective or some great experience in a given industry that people can learn from or from their path. And identifying those people are one thing, because you got to find these are people that we're bringing on that we think bring value to the listener, the viewer. They want to hear the story. And so we're starting to interview, and those interviews, hopefully those people have friends of friends of friends, and they will listen and share that on their respective companies' social media sites, and that'll drive more viewership.
It's our first qualification for a guest. Do you have friends? If they say no, it's like, you know,
You are out.
we'll meet you backstage after the show.
Now, what's the, give me a quick technical, right? Three of us are sitting here. How do we envision that? Live over Zoom? What technically, how is that process going to work?
Yeah, so that was actually, I mean, good question, because that's been in the trial and error. We have been doing podcasts, the three of us talking through different topics, content, and we said, all right, we got to get in the interviewing. Well, how's that going to work? Can we get people up to Fontana, Wisconsin?
Mm-hmm.
And we will have live guests on set.
Not just wild turkeys. And
We have
deer
wild
and
turkeys
crazy
measuring
squirrels.
their way through the lawn.
Let's say squirrel's my face. I finally got the bandages
Yeah,
off
look
my
at that.
face.
You look good, man.
Getting there.
We have packs of deer walking by and other squirrels. But so we will have people on site. But the point you brought up is like, all right, well, how do we have, again, quality production with somebody that's remote? And yeah, obviously we're going to Zoom. We'll have our disconnects. We'll have our wireless, issues. And no, we won't. Are we good? Okay. Well, our first two interviews, I think, were good. They went well as far as connection and as far as throughput and being able to not get interrupted. So those went well, and so we'll continue to do those. And obviously, the hope would be that as more and more people get interviewed, and they share on their respective company websites with their friends and friends of friends, that those people will hear about CEO Bros. And that's one way you just continue to grow viewers and subscribers.
And this is about the business of the podcast. This is about creating the podcast. So I want to go back to, we have done 2 interviews you just mentioned. You said they went well, but a little more of a deep dive. How did you feel? Because we weren't sure of the dynamic. We did not do any kind of dress rehearsal, any episode that didn't work. We just jumped right into it. I thought it went surprisingly well. And I'm not just saying that. What was your thoughts on the, I do have one comment, but what was your thoughts? It actually came from you. What were your thoughts on the interviews?
I thought it went well. I learned a lot, and then hopefully we can apply going forward. I mean, some of it, and then when you go through it, you're like, oh yeah, we need to make sure we do this going forward, do that going forward. Some prep to help them get comfortable, because you want guests to look good when they're on your show. So you want to help them get as comfortable as they can, understanding what the questions are going to be. We're not going to give them to them in advance, like you and I have talked about, but I, like to Brad's point, hopefully they could use the footage from our podcasts to either do training or promotion or, other brand building things in their media and their marketing. If we've done our job well, it's a win-win for everybody. So,
Amber, real quick, I was going to say,
logistically, it was obviously took us out of our element, because we're like, well, how do we see the guest? Okay, we got to get a monitor set up. We got to bring it.
First, we thought we could put on that TV.
Thought we could put on the TV.
That didn't work.
We thought we could use a monitor. Then we thought we'll use a laptop. And then will the volume from the laptop be loud enough for us to hear them? Will they be able to hear us? And then we had to get headphones. Then we went and bought headphones, and obviously then Amber's plugging in the guests. We're coming through. We want to make sure everybody can hear each other. Everybody can see each other.
Yeah, wearing the headphones. I like not wearing headphones, but we have to do it.
You have to do it.
So,
Yeah,
I got a big head, so stick out like.
Get used to it.
Get used to it. And just to hear how loud Amber plays it in the headphones.
I know.
Yeah. You said Amber, you got to get used to that, though, right?
Amber's like, you got to get used to it. I'm like, I don't think I can. My ears are ringing.
If I'm at a rock concert,
I want to get used to this.
AC/DC concert.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to put
You
earplugs
guys have a headphone amp right there that you can adjust your
I
own
do
volume.
now.
I can't reach it.
She tells us. So after Amber says, you have knobs you can adjust. I'm going, we're not messing with knobs in the middle of an interview. That's all I need is to break something.
And Amber simple apes. no knob. We don't understand.
Amber, as a
no, I don't understand.
As new technology for those aspiring people who want to do this or either, what were your thoughts on the technical aspect of having a guest? How did that
Did it go like
experience?
you thought, or
No, we got the equipment that we needed, and we got it up and running pretty quickly.
Anything to
which is
say,
really-
hey, watch for this? What was the most important thing you had to focus on with the guest while us three were interviewing?
if anything?
Probably good quality sound and signal.
Yeah. I mean, that's
That
the
was-
basics.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the cuts, you don't think about
Yeah,
that. There's
we-
a person that's not
Or
here.
playing picture in
How do you
picture,
cut to
making
them
sure the
and
person we can see, or the viewer can see the
transitions.
person who we're talking to, not just us talking to some screen. Put picture in picture. Those are the types of things that you
Little
trial.
details, yeah.
You trial and error as you're going through the details of it. And we're just, again, we're sharing all this with you because we're trying to pull back the curtain. We're trying to show you guys everything that's going on as we're launching this podcast.
So I had a question I was going to ask you guys today anyway, with guests, like, is the focus on the person themselves? Are we kind of doing a biopic and asking about their opinions on things? Or are we bringing in subject matter experts to talk about subjects? And or is it going to be some kind of mix? I don't know if you guys have thought about that.
I don't
but-
think we're supposed to be talking about that in front of our viewers.
I think it's
that's supposed to
interesting.
be worked out ahead of time.
You were
Moving
asking this
forward-
now after? No.
No, yeah. No, I was going to say both. I mean, I want to know about the individual and what makes them tick to get into the business they got into. And then I think it's kind of like our duty, I think our responsibility to promote their business and help them promote their own businesses. They're doing us a favor. They're hopping on, they're talking something that's providing unique content for our visitor, our viewers. So I kind of see it as both. We want to showcase the individual. We want to showcase their business. I saw it as both. And
Well, no, the other option was the subject matter.
Well, I think it is. So Brad had a good comment. We didn't have a problem with our first two guests because they were great, but we do have to be diligent on driving that. We have this dynamic on driving that conversation, making sure one topic doesn't go too long. So I do think you want to get to the subject matter expert, but within the storytelling and asking the questions you guys do, their personality is going to come out
Right.
anyway. So that's the sweet spot, right? That they are the subject matter experts. And along the way, we're learning about them. That's our job to get that from them.
I mean, we only have a limited amount of time with each of them too. So you want to try and get that unique content from each of them while letting the personality shine. And like I said, two great guests, Frank DeGrassi, Yanni Machuras, two completely different fields,
Yeah,
two different
yeah.
companies.
And let's do some teasers. Yanni, I think the strength was leadership skills. It's an absolute, I know, I hate to sound corny, it's a must listen. And then Frank with running a restaurant, so interesting because we've talked about how difficult it must be running a restaurant. And I didn't, understand the community part of it. Like he's building a community. They're going to be great. They're going to be great.
Yeah. So
that's three. That's
so I
your
think,
third,
yeah. And then the fourth thing as it relates to driving subs and viewership that we're pursuing. Again, we could be wrong in our approach, but the fourth would be Brian and I, or us as a group, or however that fits. But Brian and I most likely are the ones that will seek to do guest spots on other podcasts that have viewerships and subscribers. Brian and I just did one, Investor Fuel. We did one. It was a real estate investing podcast. They've been on for quite some time. We'll plug all the information up above, and we'll probably talk more about Investor Fuel as we go. Great partners. We did a really nice interview with Dylan, and it was good. It was a lot of fun. We talked about real estate investing, which is something I love to do, and they had a lot of questions about us as entrepreneurs. How real estate ties to our respective businesses, and there was a really good discussion on that. So if you get a chance, we're going to probably play that on our channel. We'll probably have members of Investor Fuel as guests eventually on our channel, and that's something that I think has to happen in the long run with the development of a podcast as a business, because if we just literally self-promote our channel, it is not going to work that way. We just don't have the breadth or the reach to get to the amount of people in mass that would make a difference to monetize the channel.
It's so fascinating. One may think that everything is saturated. Everyone has a podcast, but the data and the stats consistently show that there is not enough content for what people want to listen to. So it's so smart to do this because it's not your competition. You are want the same people who listen to business podcasts. You want people who are listening to real estate and entrepreneurs. That's a smart way to go about it. Don't look at it as, well, they're my competitors. No, people want content. A lot of people have long drives. A lot of people watch this on their phones. It's the new medium.
Well, and the topics can be different. Like when we were on Investor Fuel, we got pretty specific and pretty deep into commercial real estate for medical industries and healthcare practices, both from, hey, is it good for an investor to invest in buildings where healthcare practitioners are leasing? And then also, how do healthcare practitioners make leasing decisions? So we, kind of got deep on something, probably wouldn't get that deep on this podcast on that topic. So it is interesting.
Yeah, no, and like I said, that was fun to do. It was, from our standpoint, hopefully some of their viewers, some of their listeners find some of our content unique and want to come over and listen to us, and vice versa. Some of our viewers and listeners want to listen to their podcast as well. So we'll put that plug up to them, and we appreciate working together with them.
Have you guys thought about advertising on those shows, like putting a paid ad or?
So they have paid advertisers on their show.
On that one
already.
specifically.
Yeah.
They're fully developed. They're pretty developed along. They have.
But would you be one of those ads?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. Because they're trying to get real estate investors to use their platform to do real estate investing.
Or other
So it's a different type
podcast business. Have you got
potentially? We haven't looked at it
Yeah.
yet. Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, there's
again,
all kinds of places once we get beyond the
incubator?
You think of, YouTube as the middle, and then you've got your social media, and then you've got your Google ads, and then you've got all your other shit. We talked about billboards at one point.
Yeah, we
I don't
did.
think that we'll ever do a billboard, but who knows?
Yeah, and I think it is. Again, we talk about
crazy Kaplan's.
Crazy Kaplan's fireworks.
Kaplan's
Yes.
CEO bros.
I almost got
Hair replacement. Brian Urlacher.
I tried to
I
take
like that you texted and asked Brad, do you need some fireworks?
I did, because we talked about it in one episode and I wasn't familiar with it, and I'm driving south and I see one and I'm like, well, I don't want to get in an accident. So then I had my daughter do it, and I'm like, text the group that she's like, what do we do? I'm like, just ask if everyone wants fireworks.
By the way, I'm gonna plug Wisconsin for fireworks. You don't need to go to Indiana to get your fireworks from Crazy Kaplan's. Oh, did I just diss one of a potential sponsor? It's because I want to plug our Wisconsin companies. We are in Wisconsin.
There, right?
Yeah, there are some great firework distributors. I don't have their names now, but I will plug them. I will plug them in the
You
next.
got to come a little deeper in the state to get the big stuff, though, right? Like
No,
the Illinois
no.
border, they just
I
sell
came
like
right over the border, and I got some serious stuff
Really?
right up the road from here. So the stuff that you can. You got to, if he goes one step larger, you've got to get permits to blow off. And
Because all our fans in Australia, just, in Illinois, fireworks are still illegal for some reason.
yeah, you cannot buy a firework in Illinois. So you have to go to our neighboring states, of which they laugh at us when we come over the border. To
Is-
get
is it
fireworks.
enforced?
Because they do it the
Chicken.
right way.
Is it enforced? On 4th of July? Is anyone even?
It's a bitter topic.
Have you?
I'm just bitter
gonna
that
say.
I have to drive
Wait,
somewhere to go get my
have
fireworks.
either of you who are into fireworks ever had them confiscated? Ever?
Yes.
Oh God,
Oh.
yes. God, yes.
Oh, well, there's some stories.
Of course, man. I think you were in.
Well,
one of
okay,
them,
we were
dressed as a clown.
Okay,
but
we were
won't talk about
teenagers
that.
when that happened, but yes, we had our fireworks.
That'll be another story.
We were dressed in makeup,
We don't need to go into that.
shooting
now. We don't need to go into
fireworks
that.
out
now.
of a car. It got pulled over. All right.
But
That'd be interesting for the cop.
so guys, I think then if that becomes the focus and views and subscribers, and that's the way we're going to build them and grow them, then that's either going to work or it's not. But it's going to take us some time to do that. You don't do interviews overnight. You don't you don't round up and schedule and do these interviews in a week or two. They happen over several months, over a year, a couple of years. You're doing guest spots on other podcasts over a long period of time. And your subscriber and viewership grows over time. And as you accumulate mass and you get that, you potentially then will be talking monetization. And you start talking about the
I was
channels.
going to ask if you guys had talked about that in the last episode, what the goal of increasing subscriber and view count ultimately is. Like,
Well, I mean, there's numbers that are out there, but the point is that I think, look, I think it was, Brian, I think you said in a episode a couple podcasts ago, you said something like, in fact, I think you said on the Investor Fuel when we were guests, you said, I didn't have a plan when I was going to exit. I didn't have a plan when I was going to sell. I just said, we're going to grow as fast as we can, as long as we have money. And so the idea for us is we're going to grow our viewership and our subscribers as big and as fast as we can. We don't know how long that will take. It may never happen, but we're going to give it a good college try. And those are the 4 routes that we will go to do it. And then we'll evaluate it as we're going every 3 months.
Yeah, because I think we were surprised on some of the ad spend you did, the uptick we saw on the YouTube. Like, oh wow, that's a good jump in views for that one. And then it was stark to see the difference between those episodes that were promoted and those weren't. That the numbers were much higher. So that's you play around with it as well. We'll probably get a better idea of what we really have here.
Yeah, and the YouTube is a little bit of black magic because it's so inconsistent and there's not a lot of detail. Like I came from a marketing background and we knew where every view came from and why. With YouTube, it's just kind of like, yeah, you got 3,000 views yesterday. It's like, okay, what did you run more ads?
Yeah.
Did you run them in different places to different people? I don't know how deep you can get, but
Why was
everything's algorithms.
Johnny Hacky Socks the only viewer 3,000 times?
Yeah, everything's an algorithm now. Google, YouTube, they base ads that get presented to you based on other things you've looked at. So, it's not like the old days when you bought advertising and say, okay, well, put my ad in front of these types of people at these types of times and stuff.
Right.
It sounds crazy, but you just give them money and trust them to put them in front of the right people at the right time. And then the results are either there or they're not. And you say, all right, that was,
I mean, and then kind of as we develop a little bit further, we start talking about, all right, well, so what are the challenges we face with a podcast? Like, what are the things we face that kind of, I don't want to say keeps you up at night, because this is not a business for me.
It was like Yanni.
Yanni is his cautious paranoia. That's how I kind of feel about the business I run today. It's always something. You're always worried about something going wrong. So you're always alert, and as he called the Pavlov effect that he's got. But so I mean, I think the thing. Well, let's first of all talk about the success. What drives success of the podcast outside viewers? What drives viewers and subs? You have to be consistent.
Yeah.
And I think the one thing that all 4 of us agreed on was we are not going to miss a Friday at 4 p.m. is going to be our episode. And Amber's done a fantastic job of wherever she's at, whatever she's doing. If she's behind the bar, bartending at her other employer, she's editing video. No, she's not there. We basically have got to get the content, the episodes produced, edited, and out for production on Friday. Because if people are expecting to hear you and then you're not out and you miss a day or two, and then you start missing a few days and you miss this, you miss that, people start to lose faith, hope that you're not going to be reliable, and they may not tune back in again.
If I had to pick one, that's my biggest success of this show so far is the consistency that we've been showing up. We've been recording. It's been getting out every Friday. I think that's a huge, again, talking about those stats where one of the reasons why there's not enough content and more people who want content is because there's a lot of podcasts, but a huge amount, 80, 90%, they drop off after 5 or 6 episodes. The amount of people who consistently do weekly episodes is not as much as you think.
It's good. So Amber, from your standpoint, like we film or we're filming for the course of 2-3 hours. We're doing a couple episodes every couple of weeks. What would you say it takes to edit and produce one episode? You're going to start, you're going to be looking at, you're going to want to look at all the sound, the editing, video, ad inserts, things like that. What are we thinking? How long does one episode take? 5 to 7 hours, give or take. And what are some of the things that you're looking at? What are you doing like specifically that maybe we would look at it and go, or we take for granted?
I think they're removing your grumbling stomach noises to an hour in and of itself, right?
So the audio editing is what really takes most of my time. But that's the best part for me because I love audio. I like editing. It's a great way to like.
Is there a lot of weird noises? Or is there?
For sure. You have
all right, let's cut this part right here.
You have
What do you love about
no
audio?
idea
What do you love about audio?
I love critical listening, and
Oh,
that's
good
and
answer.
I've been that
Great
way
answer.
ever since I was really young. I mean, I've always been involved with music in some way or form. That's the main reason why I went to school for sound technology and music production. You know, right now has me going down a different path, but I'm okay with that. And critical listening is still so much involved. And it's not just chopping everything up, you know, taking out all of the times you guys aren't talking and there's sibilants, the harsh S's and
Oh, I'm starting to get self-conscious.
You guys getting self-conscious?
This
I'm getting
started out well.
self-conscious.
Can we get, so let's move to a next time. And it's, you know, the way Matt slouches in his chair and the ball, like, she just goes,
And that bald guy says this. It's like, wait a minute, we're all bald. Wait, hang on a
The way
second.
the light reflects off your foreheads. It's
and how you go on
Wait,
and
Amber,
on about it.
But Amber, I got a question. So,
yeah.
how much of your sound engineering background from school translates? And for somebody that maybe is in your background, your schooling, is this an easy conversion to do this kind of work?
Absolutely. And it was like one of the first projects that we did in school was record a podcast with one of your classmates, talk about whatever. And it was about an hour long. And then we had to edit it. And yeah, that was one of our school projects.
So
that's
picking
why
up
I'm like,
picking up the video though, and the video editing along with the sound, and the sound editing has been something that within your wheelhouse and you felt comfortable doing it all together. I mean, yes, you got to pick some different things up, but kind of ties off together.
Yeah. I didn't really learn much about video production or editing in school. So a lot of that I'm doing on my own, learning
As you go.
on my own as I go.
Nice.
And even still with audio, I mean, I'm no professional by any means, but also with the editing, you know, there's the EQing and compression, and every episode I do it differently. You know, I'm not using the same settings because there could just be something different during that one recording session. So that's what's really helping me right now is just learning as I go and getting better every episode.
So is your biggest challenge when Brad leans into the microphone and starts talking?
I wish everybody would just chill.
He only does that during sound check. He doesn't do it during the show.
No, but I guess it's good for everybody to hear though that you know there are literally 4 distinct roles that are all critically important in doing this podcast. I mean, yes, Brian and I have content from experience in being CEOs, but without Matt hosting and driving and keeping the conversation fluid and making the conversation light, and Amber doing everything behind the scenes that she just described out, this doesn't happen the way we want it to in a quality manner. So just goes to show you that, you know, when you're putting a company together, you got to think through all the different elements that are going to make it a success. And so again, we're taking you behind the scenes, what we're trying to do to get this podcast to be good and to have longevity and stand the test of time.
I've been enthused by Amber's ability to add in all the extra content I send her.
It's great.
Like when you guys state a fact that I know is incorrect, I can just send her the right answer. She'll post it right above your head, or clips from movies.
When you use words like namby-pamby,
Right.
Oh,
Show
right.
the definition.
playground fighting terms.
There's an apology owed by me. I did not think that's a definition word. Who used that?
Brian did. Namby-pamby.
I apologize.
Did you see the post on the snakes in Antarctica? There are none. Just in case you didn't watch that episode.
So
But there's also volcanoes there, which I think was a question about the Australian.
let's move on.
content. All
I
right.
told you that the data online could be incorrect, but so
You gotta
as
put an
far-
asterisk at the end. Anything these 3 guys have said, don't.
No, I
Check your
said
references.
Views and opinions
Hold
by the
on,
CEO Bros
hold
may
on.
or may not be factual. Do this.
I said right up
Please check
front.
your
I
paper for
said
local
we're
coupons.
getting this information online, and we know what information online could be questionable at times. So I think, as it relates to challenges, though, about the podcast, what we're facing is we have to ensure that the content remains unique.
Yes.
It remains interesting. It remains, thought provoking. We don't ever want to draft or do a podcast, or I should say, record a podcast that we don't think is going to be relevant for people out there. So the whole idea behind doing the podcast evolution is, for those of you, said how you want to start a business. We're telling you what we're doing, starting a podcast business, and pulling the curtains back, and we'll tell you what's going wrong and what's going right.
You know, and I keep bringing up when I say it was a choice, because I think if you're going to be a content creator and you're going to do this kind of podcast, there are a lot of choices you have to make. Talking inside baseball is a choice because, to Brad's point, well, is it too boring? Well, it's not boring. It's inside baseball, but how you tell it and the storytelling and the way you tell it, that is where people are going to pick up lessons and tips without it being overtly, these are lessons and tips. And that is something we talk about after the shows. Are people getting something out of this? And we question to make sure, are we giving our listeners stuff they can use and take away from and go, good point. And that's a choice we've made to go inside baseball. Inside baseball is an inside baseball term.
All right,
by the way.
all right. We're not talking inside baseball at this point, though, right? Or is that a podcast you're referring to? You lost me completely.
Oh, inside baseball. You know that term?
I don't know.
Inside baseball.
Oh, yeah,
inside baseball.
Brian, were you following him?
Yeah.
Inside.
I
I'm
usually
lost.
aren't, but
when,
I know that.
when people talk like,
I don't think you should explain it.
it's normally a.
No, we have to move on because that
Everyone
whole
else knows what it means, so we'll explain to Brad
Can
afterwards.
we just put the definition
We'll
up?
put the definition up there.
It's a deep dive into a topic. In other words,
Yeah, it's
inside
behind the
baseball?
scenes.
Oh, I've never heard that term.
So if you're
I've never
talking
heard that
something,
term.
they'll go, that's a little inside baseball. Like that's
I've
really
never heard that
specific.
in my life.
Okay.
Look at that. We taught somebody
Well, I
something.
appreciate it. Please put that terminology up there, you guys.
Please find that
You
terminology.
guys thought it was funny when I mentioned that Italian Americans don't use the word gravy, which they do. I pointed it out in the dictionary. I showed you that.
That's another apology.
Wikipedia.
Yeah, that's still
You guys
something
can
I
argue
don't
that. But-
understand.
But as we talk about, we talk about viewers, we talk about subs, we talk about, well, how do you monetize? Right? People
There
say,
we
how
go.
do you
Now we're
monetize a
getting
channel?
to the meat of things.
It's a little inside baseball.
So as the subscriber count and viewership grows of a particular channel, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Apple, whether it's Spotify, so forth and so on, you can monetize the channel. So that's ultimately, we'd like to see that happen. Could take a very long time. Could happen in the near term future. One of the other things that we hope to do, and we'll pull it up here on the screen behind me, is our advertising pursuit scorecard. So can we just take a moment and talk about what has been going on with our advertiser pursuit scorecard? First off, why don't we ask Brian first? On the advertiser pursuit scorecard, Brian, do you know why we even created that scorecard?
Organically.
Just to keep track of advertisers that I was pissing off, right? Potential advertisers.
Yes.
I would never piss off an existing advertiser, but there's certain companies that I just don't care if they advertise on our show or not.
So, Matt, can we say that there are probably brands
Yes.
and there are companies of products that we like to consume
Yes.
or use, and we love their products. And I mentioned, we've talked about Tito's vodka. We love Tito's vodka. We love New Glarus, Spotted Cow beer.
If people haven't learned those two things by now, then we're not doing our job.
Many others.
We've got no hope.
And so we've got our advertiser pursuit scorecard right up here where we have specifically called out, and we will show you some of those clips in which you can see why we slid the pursuit to the left, where we have a great positive opportunity. We still have an outside shot, Matt, of getting those potential
It's
advertisers.
going to take some work, Brad. It's going to take some work. Brian came in pretty hot in the beginning episodes.
I totally forgot that Giannis was from Boston, the home of Dunkin' Donuts.
It was, yeah.
on.
And he would take offense to that you do not like Dunkin' Donuts. But we did slide Dunkin' Donuts from left back to right. We've got them on right to left. On our left-hand side of our advertiser pursuit scorecard are all advertisers that we believe we still have an outside shot of securing as a potential advertiser because we consume their product. We consume it. We love it. And we love their products. Okay. And then the products and services on the right-hand side, those brands, Brian has probably at this point
offended to the point of
so badly they've been offended to the point they would never consider advertising with us. But the reason we bring this up is because advertising revenue on a podcast channel is a source of revenue to make your channel profitable, sustainably profitable. So I wanted to point that out to my brother, who
you would think knows that already, right?
Being a marketing expert, he would know that you can't do that.
I know there's a lot of
And since we're talking about the business of doing a podcast, this was not a planned before we started this. Let's do this. It happened organically because Brian had these hot takes early on, and we're like,
I have a lot
like,
more.
Oh my
of them,
goodness! Like, well, there goes that advertiser. And so we found that, and then created this. So that's another fun thing about doing this is you find and discover things that you then turn into segments that we did not know ahead of time, and that's just kind of listening to each other and putting that together.
Why don't we give you an example right now of Brian showing his love for Whirlpool, a vendor we all love, a company we love, but Brian clearly in this episode right here shows his love for Whirlpool.
One of the reasons I don't like, I would fear
Are we okay with
owning
this?
properties, renting properties, is that you have to take care of them.
Yeah.
I can't even take care of my own house. And so Whirlpool, I have a Whirlpool refrigerator, and the light went out.
where this is going.
58 years I've been here. When the light goes out in the fridge, you take the plastic off, you change the bulb, you put the plastic back on. Costs you $2, takes 2 minutes. This stupid Whirlpool fridge, you can't take the plastic off. So I call and they're like, oh, it's permanent. I'm like, what do you mean it's permanent? And they said, oh, it's LED lights. They never go out. And I'm like, they did. They're like, well, we'll send a service guy out. $300 to replace the light bulb in my refrigerator. And this isn't like this is like a $1,200 refrigerator. So the repair guy then goes, well, you're lucky it's not the light in the freezer. That's like $500. And most people, the seal on the refrigerator breaks. That's another $500. And I'm like, okay, Whirlpool.
All right, so can we get a picture of Whirlpool and just put a big X? Because that was not
Just
just
lost Whirlpool.
That wasn't just a mention. That was
no,
a
that's
deep,
a
it'll take a lot of work to get Whirlpool back, but we'll work on it.
that's never going to happen.
Whirlpool. Brian, do you have anything to say about, after seeing the Advertisers Pursuit scorecard up, seeing the vendors that are on the left, the brands on the left, the brands that you've insulted and dissed on the right, is there anybody that you believe you'd like to rethink? Or you've talked about the Cincinnati
no,
Reds.
I'm not gonna
Seattle's a whole town.
Yeah, I didn't
City.
enjoy Seattle at all.
Dunkin' Donuts, Brian.
It's not.
Donuts.
No, this is going to make.
No, I mean, I like Taco Dorito. If you want to know like sponsors I'd go after, Taco Doritos would be one. Cheese Whiz, love Cheese Whiz.
Did you bring me my Cheese Whiz, boy?
And Cheese Whiz.
Wait. Deep. That's a deep cut.
Blues Brothers, Dan Aykroyd
Wow.
goes to the motel. You got my
Wow.
Cheese Whiz, boy.
yeah.
Dan Aykroyd.
Wow.
Blues Brothers, yeah.
Did you give me my cheese whiz, boy?
Yeah.
Oh,
But
yeah.
you wouldn't take any of those back, Brian, knowing that
No,
they could
no.
result in advertising revenue.
There's plenty of potential advertisers out there. Let's not worry about them.
So we bring this up.
Trying to fill up 3 pages of potential advertisers that are off.
We bring it up
off the board.
jokingly, but it truly is an aspect of the business. It's potentially a channel of revenue, or a line of revenue, I should say, in which the podcast can drive a source of its profitability from is advertising revenue. And so we're going to keep a close eye on this Advertiser Pursuit scorecard. And we're going to try to keep Brian's comments and feedback about potential vendors and brands.
Or just let them
Yeah,
close.
I won't go into it today, but I don't think we're going to get any airlines as sponsors either, because I've got some stories.
Well, all right,
I've got some gripes. I'm like the old man from The Simpsons.
This is our.
I thought I recognized you. I gave you a plate of corn muffins back in 1947 to paint my chicken coop, and you never did it.
Those corn muffins were lousy.
Paint my chicken coop.
Make me.
Started
Simpson.
out of nowhere. He comes out swinging for the airlines. Out of nowhere.
I'm not
Apropos
gonna-
to nothing.
Brian, before
say
we
that.
move away from the advertising and the source of revenue that can help the podcast, the channel, is there any airline that right now in your heart of hearts that you give a plug for? That you say,
Alaskan airline?
I couldn't- I
Alaskan.
couldn't do
Alaska?
that. I haven't flown Alaskan in years. I
Delta?
don't go to Seattle anymore.
Okay.
That brings it full circle.
You know what?
No,
I don't think we can
really
let him talk
can't.
about any products.
Yes, no.
There's just levels of worse when you're talking about airlines.
Okay, so
All right, Amtrak, buckle up. You're our new sponsor.
Yeah, I had a good trip on Amtrak.
There we go.
once.
Amtrak.
We did a
Put it on.
There we
Bears
go.
trip. We
Put
went
it
down
on.
to St. Louis on Amtrak.
On
It was
Amtrak,
a
that
blast.
was right.
Put it on the
Yeah,
board.
yeah.
so so obviously we went into it. We joked about
Las
it.
Vegas. I love Las Vegas. Well,
the city of Las Vegas.
So we're going this year for
Who
the Bears
doesn't
game.
like
Who
Las
doesn't love Las Vegas? Exactly. So,
See, you guys think I hate everything.
No, we don't think you hate everything. You think you hate everything. Why did you put that on us? The man who got to nowhere goes, I hate all airlines. Next says, you guys think I hate everything. No,
you just
think.
mentioned all the airlines, and you mentioned a train.
How is that on us?
He mentioned a train. But all kidding aside, we talk about advertising pursuit, about brands. We talk about companies that we could potentially pursue in, as potential sponsors. And so that's why we're tracking.
Yeah.
And we'll continue to track. And
we are pursuing. I mean,
and we are
actively pursuing.
And
I mean, we joke about it, but we are reaching out.
And you have basically tied both hands behind my back when I'm talking to some of these vendors and branded companies, because the first thing they say to me is, your brother Brian doesn't have too many choice things to say about us, but we're trying.
So if we're helping entrepreneurs and if they're thinking about signing up podcasts, what are you saying to these, like high level? What are you saying in this early stage about being a potential sponsor?
Yeah, I just say, well, first of all, we're only going to talk to companies that are offering or providing products that we like to use and or consume. Mm-hmm. And I think we all love certain types of vodka. We look at Amber's like, why are you looking at me? And we all like certain types of beer, different types of liquor. And so we're going to pursue those companies first. And what's important to them is, do you guys have viewership? Do you have subscribers? Are people going to routinely, regularly, consistently see our product? And so we're talking about how we can product placement in the background, call out their products, give them 15, 20, 30-second plugs on their products. And that's what we're offering up. Sure. And we tell them, hey, listen, we're just getting started. We've only been underway for 3-4 months, but we're growing quickly. And we would love to feature or showcase their products in our future podcasts. And it's kind of fun, whether they turn us down or not. Yeah. Listen, Brian and I have both been in business development. We've had a lot of, people turning down opportunities to buy things. So it's no different when you're going to ask somebody if they want to, they want to promote, or they want to be a promoter for us, or they want to do sponsorship, I should say. And it's funny. People will just say, no, I'm not interested at this time, but we'll keep trying. Yeah, it's fun.
Well, and consumer services are one thing. We ideally are building an audience of business professionals, entrepreneurs, managers, executives. So, think of all the business services, software and accounting systems and services and tax services and things like that would be ideal sponsors for a show like this, because we can connect them with an audience in a unique way, in a unique format that's not just, blatant advertising. It's discussions, it's Q&A, it's point counterpoint, things like that. It's testimonials.
Yeah. What's the editing software, Amber, you use for us?
For audio editing, I use Pro Tools.
Pro Tools. There you go.
For video editing, I'm using CapCut.
Okay. CapCut.
CapCut's crazy popular right now.
Yeah. I honestly have found that that's the one video editing software that's easy to navigate, which is like a huge thing.
So there'd be synergy there if we ever went like
right. And if you think about it, these types of companies, again, aligned with the business community, like Brian's talking about, or products we consume or we like, the more viewers, the more subscribers that are on the channel, the more interested they get. And so it may not happen today. It could happen in 2 months. It could happen in 6 months or a year. But that's something that as we go through trial and error and we reach out to people, that happens. And you just have to be persistent. Like you have to be in any business startup. You have to be persistent and you have to keep providing the value add you're bringing to those companies. Brian's got.
That's designed for I have an idea. What if at the end of this episode, we run a scroll of all the products that we like, just so people know, they like my product.
Portillo's
Maybe
is
we
on
should
there for me.
advertise.
Okay.
Yeah, Portillo's.
Or why don't we go like my picture will come up and all the products I like will scroll, and then Matt's will scroll, and then yours, Brian, it'll just be your shirt. And it'll just focus on your chest and nothing will be scrolling by. People are like, why? He doesn't like anything.
He doesn't like anything.
It'll just be a picture of a plane with a frowny face.
That's what happens when you get old. You just don't like anything anymore.
All right, I'll think of that. That's good.
That's a good one. Yeah. But so that is a key a source of potential revenue. And again, just open book, pull back the curtains. That's what we're pursuing. We hope it happens over time. And then the third would be, but we haven't even crossed this bridge, but down the road, if the channel gets really successful, you talk about potentially paid subscriptions, but that's not something we're into. We're not discussing. We want to just, if you even consider it, because from our standpoint, we may just say, no, we're having a blast doing it. It's it's free to listen. And if we get advertisers that just want to broadcast to our viewership and our subscribers, and that's what we do. I mean, so
we had a brief conversation on premium content because there's only so deep we can go in these episodes, but there's a lot more information we can share, like on a specific topic or specific point, industry that I get questions about. It's like, oh, I wish you guys would go deeper on this. It's like, well, that doesn't apply to our whole audience. But we can put stuff, And
is that when you say that my consulting fee for the low price of X hundreds of dollars an hour is no? But I do agree with Brian is that we can't get anywhere near the specifics that we could go into any one of these topics because we're just giving a high level perspective, anecdotally experiences we've had, the do's and don'ts. But there's so much more you could go into these things, and we probably at some point we'll introduce some type of a premium kind of channel subscription where if you really want to get all of
we'll call it Inside Baseball.
There we go.
I won't know what that is, but I'll buy it. I'll get it. So yeah.
Right, we're talking about sales alone. We could have spent 10 hours giving advice to people who are looking to hire their first salesperson, or they're an entrepreneur trying to do the sales themselves, or they're hiring their first sales manager, or they're working on comp plans, incentives. Yeah. I mean, that in and of itself.
We have an interview for an attorney coming up that will be free, but that information is going to be very valuable.
Not an attorney, a managing director of a major law firm in the city.
And so the value of that.
So to get that person's time and attention on for an hour discussion will be very educational for people that are like, when should I even, talk to an attorney? Is this something I should be consulting with an attorney or not? I think there's a lot to learn there. So, I think what I'd like to see us do is over time give an update on how our viewers and subscribers, how that's going. Do we have opportunities to monetize? Do we not? What are the challenges we're facing? What are the new opportunities that are creating themselves? Where did we have to ebb and flow? Where do we derail in this whole podcast business development? Because it's all learning experience for me. And I think we're just trying to apply what we've learned along the way and try to apply it to this podcast. That's what I'm taking from it. You agree with that, Brian, or you want to take this somewhere else with the evolution of the podcast?
Yeah, no, I agree. And I like the idea of coming back quarterly, like you do at a regular business, kind of reviewing, hey, are we doing what we said we were going to do, what we thought we were going to do, what's changed, what's different, what opportunities have presented themselves, where have we made, mistakes that we've corrected. There's already been things that we've started, tried, terrible turds, golden nuggets, are we coming back to that stuff or not?
Notable nuggets. Hey, that's why golden nuggets
Chicken
went down. That's why we got sued by McDonald's. Yeah, we got a lawsuit against us.
Son of a biscuit. I was not supposed to say that again. And ideas for different segments that make sense that we can cut clips from and things like that. So, I like the idea. And you and I talked, it's also potentially a foundational piece of media for other things. I mean, we've both done speaking engagements. We've both talked. We've both written papers and things like that. Guests on other shows.
I'm curious as we do more of these, find out. Are there any books in the works for either of you that can complement this podcast or any other services that kind of like that podcast you've been on? That's a future conversation, but that'll be interesting to see how that plays out, right?
I'm writing a big expose about
Then you're really going to have people coming up to you and say, hey, this is your life?
Hours. Yeah. No, not on me, on you guys.
Oh, jeez.
All the things that happen, all the hijinks.
I do think that one of the sessions, as we talked about kind of incubator stage and we're trialing an error in different things, and we get into this. We had a discussion around point counterpoint. So I think what you're going to see,
Oh yeah, we definitely got to do that. Then you really will be the referee, man.
You have seen two brothers for the most part that have gotten along on most of the issues we've talked in the first 20 episodes. I can't say for certain that the next 20 episodes we will be in agreement as
We've
much
got
as we.
a long and storied history as bandmates of some outbursts that have
I
gone down in
remember that.
legend.
It's kind of like the heat miser and the freeze miser. If you know the old Christmas clay characters from the
White.
exactly.
Brad is the heat miser.
Yeah, from
right?
the 60s and 70s, the old clay figures.
Why don't you give the Tutti Frutti snow cone a buzz on the hotline? See what he says.
Hello? Snowy, this is Mrs. Claus.
Hi there, Sugar Plum. How'd you make out with a hothead?
I heard that, you snowball.
Oh, my goodness. Speak of the devil.
Madam, kindly state your business with that drippy snowman and get him out of here.
Mind your blood pressure, hotcakes. Mother warned you about that low boiling point of yours.
You think you're hot stuff just because Mother likes you best.
Boys, now please, don't fight.
Well, if I can't have a little fun, I might as well leave.
Your brother agreed to let it snow in the South.
He did.
Of course, there has to be a small concession on your part.
Oh, really? But what does the flaming fool want this time? The North Pole?
Yes, as a matter of fact.
What? I told you he wouldn't cooperate.
Cooperate? Surrender the North Pole you call cooperate? A good mind to chill your embers for you.
Oh, yeah?
All right, enough of this. I hate to do this to you boys, but you leave me no choice. I'm going over your heads.
You're kidding.
You wouldn't dare.
I would, and I will.
Mrs. Claus! See what you did, you old blizzard. She's gonna tell Mother.
What I did, you hot dog. It's all your fault.
Your Rudolph the Red-Nosed
I'm
Reindeer
not going to do
impression.
that, but I am going to. We are going to put up a old version of the Heat Miser and the Freeze Miser, so you know what is in store for the brother duo in these
Do you know
conversations.
who their mother is, Matt?
Mother Nature.
You're right.
Mother
I gave it
Nature.
away. I
One of
gave
the
it away on
greatest
the quiz.
episodes.
It's Mother Nature.
I love it. It's one of my, I watched that show when I was 8-9 years old when I was a kid, and I today at my old age now, like
Still
make sure I
quote
will
it.
not
Still-
miss that.
I love.
You've got the ornaments on the
Since
front
we're talking
lawn.
this same company, the Earth Out of Santa Claus, whatever that is, where he gets his name. There's one of them where a penguin is in it.
What's the land of misfit toys?
No. That's Rudolph. No, this is the Santa Claus with the put one foot in.
I love that one.
There's a penguin in it. And it cracks me up because then they just ditch the penguin. Like I want the penguin to have its own TV show.
Christmas penguin.
Come back 50 years later, an old penguin.
Random penguin. That's with Meisterburger Burgermeister. That one.
Yes.
Yeah.
It just goes to show you through the years.
And the wizard, right?
Warlock.
The Warlock. And there's this penguin.
Oh man!
Through the test of time, we obviously can relate to the same types of TV shows.
These are the things you're supposed to prevent me and Brad from going down.
No, this is gold.
This could go on for hours.
One other thing I'd like to do is each episode, just to kind of bring out the best in you, I would like one product. Any product,
all right,
that you would deem to make to the left side of the advertiser pursuit scorecard that we have up here on the screen.
Amtrak. We got Amtrak out of them.
Can you give us a product or service that you actually, because we've always hear 3, 4, 5
Peanuts.
a day.
I like
Planters Peanuts.
Like that. Well, I'll put a scroll at the end, and anybody who recognizes their company,
Brian, it's one an episode.
Call
and
me.
Planters Peanuts.
Oh, you want me to bring the product in? And
No. I want you to name a product that you're proud of and that you would say, I broadly promote this product.
Yeah, there's not a ton. I mean,
can you name one right now?
Well, I just did. Planters Peanuts, right?
All right, we're going to end on Planters Peanuts, guys. We're going to, Amber, if you can, let's get that one to the advertiser pursuit scorecard, because if Brian's promoting planners, we have a really good shot. If you can finish this up, Brian, with a little.
As Brian plays us out, remember, hit that subscribe button. We talked about how do we get subscribers.
And get your box of planners
peanuts.
Get your
box of planners peanuts. Take the Amtrak if you can. This is the Amtrak blues that Brian's playing.
Take the Amtrak.
If you have any questions about running a podcast or anything else for Brian and Brad being a CEO, leave a comment. Email us. All that information's on the show notes. Until next time, Brian, play us out.
This is Brad's old theme song, Problem Child from AC/DC.